Hi, good afternoon, and Britt Morrell here with Kaplan Morrell, and I wanted to talk with you all today about maximum medical improvement. We've been talking a lot about what happens when the doctor says you're done with treatment, what happens if you're approaching maximum medical improvement, what does maximum medical improvement mean. Please look down below. I'll let it to the folks to put in the links about what all these things mean, but I want to talk with you about max medical improvement and three things about it, but I'm going to do a little video on each thing. So the first thing that happens when you're placed at MMI, the doctor is supposed to give three opinions, and one of them is on what are your permanent restrictions, do you need maintenance care, and what is your impairment rating. Okay, those are the three opinions that the treating doctor is supposed to give when you are placed at maximum medical improvement in Colorado for your work injury in Colorado. Today I'm going to talk about restrictions. What are your permanent restrictions? Okay, so a lot of times clients, injured workers here in Colorado, they get a little confused by the use of these words like, disability. Am I disabled? Do I qualify for disability? What's an impairment? What are my restrictions, etc.? And they all kind of sound the same, but they mean different things. And I know that's what makes us lawyers so charming, is we use words against people. We're like, well, So I want to tell you about permanent restrictions. Okay, when you are injured on the job, your injury may be serious enough that you can no longer do the kinds of things you used to be able to do, and the doctor will give you restrictions. Now, these restrictions are called temporary restrictions because we are hoping that you get better and you recover 100%, okay? And while you have temporary restrictions, your employer may or may not choose to accommodate your restrictions by having you come to work and doing light duty. Okay. Once you're at MMI, you may still have restrictions. The doctor may say, boy, we tried to put Humpty Dumpty back together again, and all the king's men, all the king's horses could not, and you're going to still need restrictions, but now they're going to be considered permanent restrictions, okay? Now, whether or not the doctor gives you restrictions, permanent restrictions, isn't, from my perspective as an attorney who has helped injured workers in Colorado since 1995, the permanent restrictions don't really matter in the workers' compensation case unless the restrictions are so horrible, so difficult, that there is no way you can't return to work anywhere with anyone at any job for any amount of money, okay? And what that means is in Colorado, once you're placed at maximum medical improvement, I can't get you anything for wage loss unless you're unable to earn any wages anywhere, any job, etc. And that is a difficult thing to prove. Otherwise, if you are capable of doing some kind of employment at MMI, your permanent restrictions, by and large, don't matter. And so if you're working in a real job, you're not being temporarily accommodated, you may want to talk to the doctor about whether or not you need formal restrictions. Maybe you can say to the doctor that, doc, I'm fine going back to work as tolerated. I know how to self-regulate, and that's fine, okay? Now, if you know you can't go back to doing your old job, you may want to have permanent restrictions fleshed out, okay? And typically there are two ways to do that. Number one, the doctor can assign you restrictions based upon his or her expertise, experience, or you could be put through what's called a functional capacity evaluation, an FCE. And that is a study, usually should last several hours, where it tests how much you can lift, how much you can work, walk, reach, etc. Okay, and your permanent restrictions can be based on that. The important thing again to note is, if you're not able to go back to doing your old job, then you're going to have to scramble about what some of your alternatives are. And we will talk about that later. But in workers' compensation, unfortunately, there is very little protections for injured workers who can't go back to doing their old job with their employer because of a work injury once they reach maximum medical improvement. Okay? So if you or someone you love is looking at having permanent restrictions, or that there may be permanent restrictions, please let them know there's a law firm that is happy to talk with them. Our office is located throughout Colorado, but frankly, most importantly, we're in your back pocket, in your phone, and we are accessible to you on your phone face-to-face, and we would be happy to offer you a free consultation. Remember, we only charge what's called a contingency fee, which means we only collect if we are able to collect benefits for you. With that, I want to thank you for spending part of your day with me. And as always, give us a call, 970-356-9898. Thank you. Bye.